A new survey just dropped, and the number inside it is so shocking that I had to make this video immediately. Because if you are planning for retirement right now, this number changes everything you thought you knew about how much you need to save. The new magic retirement number for 2026, the amount that retirees say they need in savings and investments to retire comfortably, is $823,800. $823,800. Let that land for a moment. Now, here's the part that is genuinely jaw-dropping. Last year, in 2025, that same number was $580,310. That means the amount people say they need to retire comfortably jumped by $243,000 in a single year, a 42% increase in 12 months. 42% in 1 year, not 42% over a decade, not 42% over 5 years, 1 year. And before you panic, or before you give up entirely, I need to walk you through what this number actually means, why it jumps so dramatically, whether you personally need to hit this number, and what you can actually do about it. Because if I just showed you that number and walked away, I'd be doing exactly what the fear-based financial media does every single day, scaring people without actually helping them. So let's dig into this together. The data, the context, the math, and the real actionable steps, because understanding this number is the difference between paralysis and progress. Let's start with where this number comes from, because a number without context is just a scare tactic. This figure comes from a survey of retirees, people who are actually living in retirement right now, who were asked how much in savings and investments they believe they need to retire comfortably. This is not a projection from a computer model. It's not a Wall Street estimate. It's not a government calculation. It's real people living real retirements, sharing what they've discovered they actually need. And those real people, after experiencing inflation, rising healthcare costs, higher housing expenses, and the reality of daily life in retirement, said the number is $823,800. Now let's talk about why it jumped so dramatically from $580,000 to $823,000 in just 12 months. The primary driver, according to analysts, is straightforward: continued inflation reshaping what a comfortable retirement actually costs. When prices rise across the board, groceries, utilities, insurance, healthcare, housing, travel, the amount of savings you need to generate enough income to cover those higher prices goes up proportionally. Think about it this way. If your retirement spending was $50,000 per year last year, and inflation pushed that to $55,000 per year, you suddenly need a significantly larger nest egg to generate that extra $5,000 every year for the rest of your life. At a 4% withdrawal rate, the traditional guideline for how much you can safely pull from retirement savings each year, every additional dollar of annual spending requires $25 of additional savings. So $5,000 more per year in spending requires $125,000 more in retirement savings. And that math compounds fast when inflation hits multiple spending categories simultaneously. Healthcare costs rose significantly, and as we covered in a previous video, Medicare premiums alone jumped 10% in 2026. Housing costs for seniors, whether that's property taxes, maintenance, insurance, or assisted living, continued climbing well above general inflation. Food prices remained elevated, utility costs rose, and the everyday expenses of retirement turned out to be significantly more expensive than people had projected even 1 year earlier. All of these forces combined to push the lived experience of retirement significantly more expensive, and the people living through it updated their number accordingly. Now here's where I need to pump the brakes and give you some critical context, because this number can be deeply misleading if you take it at face value without understanding what it is and what it isn't. First, this is an average of self-reported perceptions, not a mathematically derived universal requirement. Different people have wildly different ideas of what comfortable retirement means. Someone who wants to travel internationally 3 times per year, dine out regularly, maintain a large home, and fund generous gifts to grandchildren has a very different number than someone who is content with a modest home, simple pleasures, and a quiet life. The survey captures the average perception of people already in retirement, but your perception of comfortable retirement may be very different from theirs. Second, this number assumes you have no other income sources beyond your savings and investments. The vast majority of retirees have Social Security, which provides real monthly income that directly reduces how much your savings need to generate. If Social Security provides you with $2,000 per month, $24,000 per year, and you need $50,000 per year to live comfortably, your savings only need to generate $26,000 per year. At a 4% withdrawal rate, $26,000 per year requires $650,000 in savings, not $823,000. Add a pension, part-time income, rental income, or any other income stream, and the savings number you personally need drops further. Third, geography matters enormously. Retiring comfortably in rural Tennessee is fundamentally different from retiring comfortably in San Francisco, Manhattan, or Boston. A retiree in a lower-cost state with a paid-off home and modest lifestyle may live very comfortably on $35,000 to $40,000 per year, while a retiree in a high-cost city may need $75,000 to $100,000 per year for the same quality of life. The $823,000 figure is a national average. Your personal number could be significantly higher or significantly lower depending on where you live and how you choose to live. So what does this number tell us that is genuinely useful? What's the real takeaway here? The real takeaway is not that everyone needs exactly $823,000. The real takeaway is that inflation is actively and aggressively reshaping the cost of retirement, and the gap between what people planned and what retirement actually costs is widening every year. That is the warning, not the specific number, but the trend behind the number. And that trend has very real implications for how you should think about saving, spending, investing, and planning for every year between now and the day you retire. Now let me show you the math that actually matters, because understanding how retirement savings translates to retirement income is the foundation of everything. The most widely used guideline in retirement planning is the 4% rule, the idea that you can withdraw 4% of your portfolio in the first year of retirement, adjust for inflation each year after, and have a high probability of your money lasting 30 years. At 4%, an $823,000 portfolio generates approximately $32,952 of income per year. Add the average Social Security benefit of around $24,000 per year, and your total retirement income from these two sources is about $56,952 per year. For many Americans, that number is workable, especially in lower-cost areas with a paid-off home, but for many others, especially in higher-cost regions, it's tight. Now let's look at where most Americans actually stand relative to this number, because the gap between the target and the reality is sobering. According to Federal Reserve data, the median retirement savings for Americans aged 65 to 74 is approximately $200,000. $200,000 against an $823,000 target. That is a gap of over $623,000 for the median American. That gap is not a small problem. It's a retirement income crisis hiding in plain sight, and inflation is making it wider every single year. But here's what I want to be very clear about. Knowing the gap exists is the first step to doing something about it, and there are more things you can do than you probably realize. Let me give you a framework for thinking about your personal retirement number. Because the $823,000 figure is someone else's average, and what you actually need to know is your number. Step 1. Estimate your annual retirement spending. Start with your current monthly expenses and adjust for retirement. Some costs go down, like commuting, work clothes, and payroll taxes, while others go up, like healthcare, travel, and leisure. Be honest and be realistic. Most retirees actually spend about 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income in the early years of retirement, though healthcare costs tend to push that percentage back up in later years. Build in a healthcare reserve specifically. As we discussed in previous videos, Medicare gaps are real, long-term care is expensive, and healthcare inflation is relentless. Step 2. Calculate your guaranteed income. Add up all the income you'll receive regardless of your savings. Social Security benefits, pension payments, annuity income, rental income, anything that arrives reliably every month without drawing down your portfolio. Subtract this guaranteed income from your estimated annual spending. The result is the income gap your savings need to fill. Step 3. Calculate your personal savings target. Take the income gap from Step 2 and divide it by your planned withdrawal rate. Most people use 4%, though more conservative planners use 3 to 3.5% for longer retirements. The result is your personal savings target, the number that is actually relevant to your life, your income sources, and your spending expectations. This number may be higher than $823,000, or it may be significantly lower, but it will be real and specific to you, which makes it infinitely more useful than any national average. Now let me talk about what you can actually do if your savings are behind where they need to be, because I know that's what a lot of you are really worried about. Action 1. Maximize your catch-up contributions. If you're 50 or older, the IRS allows you to contribute significantly more to your retirement accounts than younger savers. This is called the catch-up contribution. For 2026, if you're 50 or older, you can contribute up to $31,000 to a 401k. That's the regular limit of $23,500 plus a catch-up of $7,500. And if you're between 60 and 63 years old specifically, the Secure Act 2.0 created a super catch-up provision. You can contribute up to $34,750 to your 401k in 2026. For IRAs, people 50 and older can contribute up to $8,000 per year, $7,000 regular plus $1,000 catch-up. These higher limits exist specifically for people who are behind on retirement savings. Use every dollar of them that you possibly can. Action 2. Delay retirement if possible, even by just a few years. Every additional year you work does 3 powerful things simultaneously. You add more to your savings, you give your existing savings more time to grow, and you shorten the number of years your savings need to last. Working just 2 extra years can have a dramatic impact on your retirement security. The math is genuinely powerful and often underestimated. Even working part-time in early retirement, generating $15,000 to $20,000 per year, dramatically reduces the withdrawal pressure on your portfolio and can extend its life by years or even decades. Action 3. Delay Social Security if you can afford to. We've covered this in detail in a previous video, but delaying Social Security from 62 to 70 can increase your monthly benefit by 76% or more. For someone whose full retirement age benefit would be $2,000 per month, delaying to 70 produces roughly $2,480 per month, permanently, for life, with inflation adjustments. That additional $480 per month, $5,760 per year, directly reduces how much your savings need to generate, which meaningfully reduces your required savings target. Action 4. Rethink where you retire. Geographic arbitrage, retiring in a lower-cost state or city, is one of the most powerful and underutilized tools available to retirees. Moving from a high-cost state to a moderate or low-cost state can reduce your annual expenses by 20 to 40%, which dramatically reduces how much savings you need. A retiree who needs $70,000 per year in California might need only $45,000 per year with the same lifestyle in Tennessee, North Carolina, or Florida. And that $25,000 annual difference changes your savings target by $625,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate. That's not a minor adjustment. That's the difference between feeling financially secure and feeling financially desperate in retirement. Action 5. Invest your savings to outpace inflation. One of the most dangerous things a retiree can do is keep all of their savings in cash or very low-yield instruments out of fear, because inflation will silently erode the purchasing power of that money every single year. A balanced portfolio with meaningful equity exposure, stocks that historically grow faster than inflation over time, is essential for most retirees to maintain purchasing power over a 20 to 30-year retirement. The specific allocation depends on your timeline, your risk tolerance, and your income sources, but the principle is consistent. You cannot afford to let inflation win by keeping everything in cash. Action 6. Reduce your expected retirement spending by identifying and eliminating expenses you won't miss. Most people have expenses in their current budget that they wouldn't actually miss in retirement. Subscriptions they don't use, habits that don't align with their real values, spending patterns built around work and commuting that disappear naturally. Every $1,000 per year you can permanently reduce from your expected retirement spending reduces your required savings target by $25,000. The math rewards every dollar of intentional spending reduction. Now I want to address the emotional reality of this topic, because I know that seeing a number like $823,000 can feel defeating, especially if you're behind. I've talked to people who looked at a number like this and said, there's no point even trying. And that is the most dangerous response possible, because every dollar you save matters. Every year you delay claiming Social Security matters, and every adjustment you make to your plan matters. You don't have to hit $823,000 to have a secure retirement. You have to hit your number, which may be very different. And the distance between where you are and where you need to be is not fixed. It shrinks with every smart decision you make between now and the day you retire. The goal is not to match someone else's average. The goal is to build a retirement that is financially sustainable and personally meaningful for you. Let me recap the key points. The new retirement savings target from the 2026 survey is $823,800, up 42% from $580,310 in 2025, driven primarily by continued inflation. This is a national average of self-reported perceptions. Your personal number depends on your spending, your income sources, your location, and your definition of comfortable. The real warning is not the specific number, but the trend. Inflation is widening the gap between what people planned and what retirement actually costs every single year. Your path forward: calculate your personal savings target, maximize catch-up contributions, delay retirement and Social Security if possible, consider geographic arbitrage, invest to outpace inflation, and reduce unnecessary spending. If this video helped you see the 2026 retirement number more clearly, and more importantly, helped you understand what you can actually do about it, hit subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below telling me what your reaction was when you first heard that $823,000 number. I'm Bob, this is Retired Not Broke, and I'll see you in the next one.